does make me feel really good that you think I'm better than them. Appreciate it. Or at least this material might be better than what they have to say. I'm not egotistical. That's like the worst joke I could ever tell because I don't have a big ego. But you're here to learn more about ZitMo NoM. So we're moving into this new era. Every day, we're moving very, very quickly. And it's obviously the mobile era. That's what we're here to talk about. But when you compare it to where we were with PCs when they were just around this point in their timeline, where do you think we are? Think we're near a nice, ripe 286? Maybe Pentium? Maybe Xeon? Shout it out. You all look like you're falling asleep already. I think we're at the Pentium level. Okay. And what year was that? Because the PCs came out about in the 70s, right? Started getting big, 90s. So he thinks that we're in the 90s. I think we're probably closer to that 286, 386 era. Because what we're doing with mobile, it's not just so much the processing power, it's actually the evolution of that platform. So in my lifetime, and probably a lot of yours, maybe a few of you guys who are younger, I've seen three major changes or pivots in computing technology. So first there was the PC, which is why I'm comparing to them. So the PC changed a lot, but it took a lot of time to build momentum. It was very expensive to get into the home. Then the internet, right? First with dial-up, and then faster communications, which then kind of brought the two of them together into where we are in this mobile platform. So you have your PC in your pocket, you have your internet in your pocket, and when you want to do something, like when I start to bore you a little bit, you're going to look down, or you're going to reach for your phone in your pocket, or maybe your tablet. A few of you still have your laptops out. But the way I kind of see it is, when you want to do something that might be writing a paper, or you're going to do something with graphics or video, you're going to go to a laptop or a desktop, something with a bit more power, better graphics. But if you want to write a few emails, maybe a couple of paragraphs in something, or use Evernote, you're going to go to a tablet. But then if you just want to do something quick, get out the tweet, tell your significant other you miss them, or just do that little tweet reminder to let them know that you're thinking about them, you go to your mobile device, right? That's the era. I was just left sales kickoff, and one of the things we talked about, my employer, was the coming death of the PC economy. Very interesting. Not right here, it's not right now. But do you guys think that's on the horizon? Do you think by 2020, we're not going to be using laptops anymore? Shout it out. Nope. You think we are? You think we're still going to have, it's going to take time for them to go away. Betamax went much quicker, and so did the 8-track tape, because it didn't have a good, solid foothold or base like PCs do. But at least on the front end, those numbers are declining drastically. On the back end, for infrastructure, PCs are still very dominant, right? We all can agree. So when we start to think about this mobile era, developers are building not necessarily for PCs or Macs first. They're building for mobile first. Not everywhere, but it's getting much more common. All agree? Disagree? Sort of. So with that, we need to think about the protection on these devices. This mic's bugging me. So when we think about protection, we think about, how can I attack a Windows machine? How can I attack a Windows server? Lately, Linux is getting kind of a bad rap with shell shock. Some other technologies is like SSL is just really not having a good year. So, but on the mobile devices specifically, let's think about what's going on there. Show of hands, who has an Android device? Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. Put it down if you do not have antivirus on your device. So if you have AV on your phone, keep your hand up. And it is there because your employer told you you had to have it or by your choice. So if it's your employer, keep your hand up. See? Few people. But still, a lot of you did it by choice, which is really good, because some other times when I've delivered this talk, most people are only doing it because their employer requires it. So that's very good for those folks. More and more people need to start doing that. To think that Android malware is not a problem is foolish. By the time you leave here, you're going to see some statistics, and you're going to see some other tool to help you with one of the problems with mobile malware. So we're really going to be focusing on the protection. And that's part of what ZitMo NoM is. So kind of why I'm up here, why is this dude here talking to you, what's my background like? So Schwartzberg Labs is just a group of people, Ninja Sloth, if you saw him earlier talk, he's one of the guys helping me out when he's not working on his other projects. And Beltface, you probably heard him getting picked on all day. So he helps out a bit also because he's got super duper Linux skills, amongst other things. So this is my name. This is who I work for. This is who I'm not. Periodically, there is some confusion. Considering that I am standing here, and the late great, yes, Gandolfini, there is no more confusion. But it has happened several times, I don't know why. But, I did not Photoshop that as a genuine picture of him flipping some people bird. I have some certifications, like probably many of you do. I started my IT and then InfoSec career. I thought, let's get some certifications. I got some great jobs. I love the jobs I have. And then I was kind of sitting around and said, well, what can I do with these certs? I built a house. Seeing that I'm a Hebrew by name, that you can tell, and by practice, I thought it would be cute to have Santa breaking and entering into my Jewish house. Sometimes that gets a laugh, but it's okay. This is my entourage. I want to stress the fact that no matter how much and how deep and strong your passion for technology might be, get a life. Pick your head up, go talk to some people, get laid with whomever, start a family. They can make a lot of fun in your life. The top one there, playing with all the different Q-tips, putting almost all of them in his ear. We've nicknamed him Benny the Destroyer since he decided to wash his mommy's iPhone. That was a $280 lesson that mommy learned. If you could read my kids' minds, they would say, buy my daddy's book. I don't have any copies. In fact, Ninja Sloth was one of the first people that bought one 2 years ago here at GrrCON. Thank you for the charity. And he has no kids. So anybody can read this book. It's a kid's book. Help them break into technology. You can find it on Amazon. And all the funds have just really gone back into the book and try to promote it. This is some other places where I've spoken. So kind of going top across. This was ThoughtCon, kind of known for hacking Bananas Foster and lighting up the stage on fire without burning the place down. And then there's GrrCON in the middle. Thank you, Chris and Jamie and the rest of the GrrCON crew for giving me a big break a couple of years ago to finally actually present and speak to folks like you. And then it kind of goes, there's DerbyCon, there's some ISC Squared, there's secure computing talks, and then down there was Black Hat, where I put this tool I'm going to show you on display in Black Hat Arsenal, which is kind of cool because they're like really like speed demos, and it got a lot of really good attention. So I hope you guys like this tool. I'm also one of the organizers and founders of Hack for Kids. If you haven't heard of Hack for Kids, we had our first conference in Chicago on August 23rd this past summer. We had about 36 kids that were learning technology the way you use it. So there was anything from a Minecraft workshop where they would learn how to build a Minecraft server using Linux. And for a lot of them, it was the first time they were in CLI. And it was really cool to watch. All the way to taking technology apart. They loved disassembling the technology. There was a lockpick village. There was just so much stuff. They were there for the whole day. And I'm working with Chris and Jamie to maybe bring a Hack for Kids to GrrCON next year. So spread the word. If you're not in the area, then there's other people, but there are some people that might be in the room who did go with their kids here now. Everyone had a good time. I got no complaints, which I was really surprised and very happy to hear. So we're trying to promote ethical hacking for kids so they understand technology and not just become brain-dead users. Here's some people that helped with the fundraiser we did. Oh, there's one of them right now coming in through the door. So we did a Hacker Timeout to help raise funds. We had very frightening man there. I can't say his name because last time he tried to charge me some money, but he was a volunteer. We had belt face handcuff. You can't see his fingers because he actually did the flip the double bird, so I cut that off to keep it a little bit child friendly. And Mr. Gorlick was incarcerated by his lovely daughter. And she's still grounded to this day, right? So thank you again. So maybe we'll do that next year. And I'm also a member of La Dosa Nostra, or known as LDN, and we're just a very white hat, ethical hacking crew. So you can see I'm pretty busy. This is the city I live in now. Can't recognize it. It's Chicago. This is the city that I am from. If you can't tell by my accent, that is New York. And in no way, shape, or form am I a fan of them. Any Yankee fans? I didn't get a single cheer. You people are like half dead. You don't take a pulse. Nobody here hates Yankees. You guys are all Yankee fans? I'm getting some head shaking now. Derek Jeter. So there's always usually one or two Yankee fans. I don't really hate them, but I'm from Queens. I'm a Mets fan. So let's just kind of move on into this stuff. So when you kind of look at the mobile malware by platform, it's clearly that Symbian is no longer the attractive lady on the street for the malware authors. Android is the homecoming queen everybody wants to spend some time with. The numbers don't lie. And then, so the malware is a problem, but the one particular malware that we're going to discuss and focus on a bit more is called ZitMo. Show of hands, who's heard of ZitMo? Not too many. Good. Well, you did some research with me, Ninja Slaw, so I'm really hoping you did hear of ZitMo, at least once. It's an acronym for Zeus in the mobile. If you're familiar with Zeus on Windows, it's just a command and control, and it's known as the banking thief malware. It's going to scrape web pages, and it does a lot of other stuff, and there's a talk I did last year on using Zeus for tech support. So that's also in the GrrCON archives. But it's primarily built on mobile for like BlackBerry and Symbian, and now it's just really much more on Android. The other thing, it's like ZitMo's primary function is to intercept these MTAMs. Not a very common thing that we do here. Maybe somebody that might work in banking that's in the room and they have a European branch or somewhere else. MTAMs are mobile transaction access numbers. What they're used for, authorization number. They're used for when you go to log into your banking website, you put your username, your password, they send you a text message, it goes to your phone, and it acts kind of like a token, a one-time password that you can then go into the site. So there's something you know, and there's something you have, your phone, that's got a code, so you get 2FA into your bank account. Again, we don't do that much here, but it's primarily in Europe, parts of Africa, like North and South Africa. So that's where ZitMo's found a lot more than here, and there's a lot of analysis out there on it. But I thought it's important to let you folks know about it, and you're going to know how it works. So before you can even show you how the dog can hunt for the fox, it needs to know what a fox is. So I'm going to show you guys what ZitMo is. If it gets installed on your Android device, this particular variant is called the Android Security Suite, and it has that icon, and when you fire it up, this is with the 1703 is when you fire it up in an Android emulator, because it doesn't have an IMEI, so there's nothing for it to stick in there. So it just looks like that. And you can see, like, the far right with the shield, there's no menu options, there's nothing. So if somebody goes to a website, that could be a third-party website or just some BS tool that's inserted somewhere, we've made a fake site to show you how it can be done. Why doesn't this have any menu picks? Like, somebody launches it, they expect to do something, right? Start a scan, maybe some settings, set up alerts, whatever. There's nothing there. So that's kind of a clue that it's malware. So educate your users. And if you're a user, hopefully you're learning from today. We've seen some advancements in the mobile Trojan front there, kind of going down the list. So you might have heard that they're using Tor. They're trying to hide their tracks on your network. If they're hiding, it's harder to find them. It's harder to figure out where the command and control is that the malware is connecting to, because it's all going to be encrypted. detection is getting harder because they're using tools that are being ported to the Android platform. They're also being used for mining cryptocurrency. So, yeah, I used to mine cryptocurrency until my rig died, but it was fun. But I would never do it on my Android phone. It's going to kill the battery life, and it's going to kill the device. The device, because it's going to have so much temperature and everything that's going on, it's going to have a shorter lifespan. It gets on there by people going to these third-party sites or just, rooting their phone, and they're not checking certificates, and they download it, and it gets installed, and they think they have one thing, but it really is a mining tool. And also to affect their data plan, too, because it's just constantly grabbing new blocks. Bootkits are a huge problem, because once the malware is at that boot level, detection might be possible, but removal is a mega bitch. Sometimes even if you reset it to the factory new state, so factory reset or complete wipe, it still could be there. And you may not know until you see the traffic, or it could be exfiltrating any kind of information like PIM data or whatever from your device. So, be cautious. And then there's also this, the rise of the remote access Trojans, where we're very familiar with them on Windows. Now they're working their way to the Android platform. So we did some behavioral analysis at Schwartzberg Labs, and we came up with this simple term of DET, so the detection evasion tactics. So they're doing this like URI obfuscation, and they're encoding some of their commands. And what Ninja's Law found was that, I don't know if I zoom in, but that red box is the key they were using to encrypt their traffic. Well, when you think about it, it makes sense from a developer standpoint to stick the key in there. That's easy, and every time you might create a new version, create a new key. But from a detection standpoint, yeah, it sucks that they're encrypting the traffic. But if you start to look for something that might be a string of that size or that's hexadecimal, it makes it easier to find it. Not the best thing. Let me zoom in. I think I can zoom in on this one. No. That'd be a nice thing. So this is some of the stuff that we saw in the HTTP obfuscation. So on the left is the encrypted traffic, and you see some of the stuff you're expecting to see, like the original HTTP request, and like a 200 response. But then right in this part here, is all their encrypted traffic. So NinjaSloth went in, used the key, and decoded the traffic and saw what they were doing and what they were sending. So pretty interesting stuff. So even if they are trying to get around detection, if you have a set of keys that you're finding in your research, then you can run their request through those different keys and then decrypt it. I think you're using AES Decryptor online. So we've got a list of the tools that were used also at the very end of this presentation. And then there was another request here at the end, and we suspect that it was just kind of a I'm done type of command. Back to the command and control. Kind of going back to what we were talking about a little earlier, when you start to look at the trend and the death of the PC economy, by 2015, if you look at the number of tablets at 320 and then the number of traditional PCs, that is what is being speculated by ZDNet and Gartner. Just tablets are just going to continue to outpace PCs. There's some waving going on. Am I missing something? Or? Oh, okay. So there's some facts to kind of back up that conversation that we started with. Here's some malware samples from an article I did back when I was writing for Dark Reading. There was a lab that I was able to have access to, and it's very interesting when you look at the trend and the human behavior behind some of this. There was a particular malware on Android called New Year L. This was back in 2012. So even if you think like Android malware is something that's new this year or last year, it's been around for a while. So it's not that new. But you could see the uptick in the number of samples found, the variance of those samples, as you went from December 11th to the end of the year, particularly because the app is just called New Year. It's a strange human behavior why they would download that, but it's where the authors go. They see that people are going to download it, they're going to distribute more malware. And nothing else really had that much of a significant change. Fortinet, they did their threat landscape, kind of like a research report back in early 2014, or it came out in 2014 with data from 2013. And you could see here, January, about 50,000 samples of Android malware. Specifically Android, not their total collection of everything they've come across. And then by the end of the year, it was somewhere near 450,000. That's significant. That's why I'm here today, to help try to communicate that to you so you can communicate it to other people you know that might think Android malware is not a problem. Now, with ZitMo and with ZitMo NoM, it's focusing primarily on this SMS send family. You can see that Android New Year L, it's pretty popular, and in order to detect it, you really do need to have AV on the device, like these other folks here that have something on board. So I'm not advocating to not do that. I think it's a good idea. But there's still a lot of people that have Android devices that don't want on-board AV that might have malware on their device. So one way to help them was creating ZitMo, which you can see it's about the fourth biggest problem is the SMS send family. And you can see the links are all there. This presentation will be made available, so all the links, everything that you see, you will have access to. So if you're trying to scribble them down or just chill out and soak it up. Don't worry about it. So here's some more deeper research. Again, Ninja Sloth and I, things that we looked at. So when you look at the manifest file on that malware, that because Ninja Sloth, he had a different variant of ZitMo. It had that HTTP obfuscation, where the variant that I have does not do that. And I'll show you the logs I did actually write into a server, because when I changed the command and control website, I was getting logs. But look at some of these things it does. You can clearly see it's going into the SMS settings area. It's going to be a wake unlock, another telling sign of malware. You lock your phone, you put it to sleep, and the malware continues to run and your battery goes down. It might not be what you think is your MDM or whatever tool you might have on there. It could still very well be malware. So you might want to look into that as an option. And then we're not going to go through all these, but I mean, location and SMS and right to the APN setting is just too much access. The telling sign. Here's some of the settings. It'll check to see if antivirus is enabled. It's going to see the last time a message was sended. When you're looking and doing some malware research, if you see that there's some things that are not proper English grammar or terms, you can kind of start to guess which region of the planet they're coming from. This variant that I have was from Poland. Whether it's uninstalled, the version of it, timer. So here's the string. I'll show you how it was actually. I replaced it. This is my string to the CNC, but I'll show you how it replaced it, or how it was actually written in there. There's also a number. So there's a control number built in. I just replaced it with another phone number that I have. So we call this slide privacy violation because it sees your activation ID. It's getting your IMEI. It's getting your IMSI. It's seeing your number. And it's going to set the messages, the SMS transmissions, hidden. So if you think, well, I don't have ZitMo on my phone because I don't see these SMS transmissions being sent, I say bullshit. Because if you do have it, it's hidden, and you wouldn't know. With the demo we have, they're not hidden, and you actually get to see how the text messages are going to be intercepted and then sent. Yeah, this is kind of the boring part, so hang in there. It gets better. I got to build up into the demo, otherwise you see a demo, you're like, ooh, caveman fire, but this is how it's really working. So the alternate control is important, the phone model, the manufacturer, and the Android version. I mean, they're getting a lot of this information about your device to use it against you. And it's not that they're just sending all of this as a text message. They're also sending it to a web app someplace in the cloud. But this one particular one right here, model, and then all the variables, the alternate controller, text are hidden, the activation code, the alternate controller, the version, and the manufacturer. You're going to see that today. So hang in there. This is actually usually a lot shorter. I'm trying to make it longer. When we delivered part of this at Converge Detroit, we were done in like 35 minutes. And we just talked about ZitMo. So now we're adding on the detection and the disablement of ZitMo through a web app. It's writing the text messages to SQLite on your phone. So when it's going to get them and intercept them, it needs to put them someplace. So it puts them in SQLite and then tries to send it. And if it can't send it, it'll wait. And then it'll try again and again until you're back online, and then it sends whatever text messages have been sent to you. And that's the path there. So if anybody's curious and they want to do their own research, we, Ninja Sloth, I give credit where it's due, found the path to the database that it's using. This one in the version of ZitMo that I have had this string right here. I highlighted it yellow. So it's called URL to report. It might be hard to read, but it's in double quotes, and it begins with like semicolon H greater than tick, dot, 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 dot. And when you go through it, you're like, what the hell is this? But some of it kind of looked a little familiar. Like when I saw a colon here and then a couple slashes, I go, we're on to something. Keep reading, and right there is the key to decode it. And what it was actually doing was going to androidsafe.com and then this PHP file. I'm trying to find out if that's actually a word like hello or gate, but I've been told it means really nothing. So I changed that to our domain so we could see what it wants to send. And those logs I actually have a little later. But now that you understand the fox, let's talk about the hound. So ZitMo NoM, it's just an acronym for Zeus in the Mobile, no more. Or because of the meme NoM, create a little dude there with the big teeth, named him Nom Nom, and he goes there and he eats it up. Cute, silly stuff to appease my inner child. So it's actually, I kind of said it before, it's really the intent is if you don't want to have AV on your phone by choice, you're right to have choice, but you want to test to see if you have ZitMo. We won't detect, New Year or Battery D or any of those other things. Go ahead and do it. And I'll show you how shortly. But I want to also let you know it's still in prototype. You might see some things like code or errors kind of throw up if you send bullshit data, like I've done with, had some people test it and they threw in all ones and bleh. So we got to put in some controls for that. We're trying. If you want to help the project, there's a lot that we still can do. Just go to zitmonom.org/join, or even if you just go to zitmonom.org, there's a participate link. Fill out the simple form, and if you got database backend or front end, or even if you want to, like, hey, I'm kind of into doing this malware Android research. I'm really not that good, but I'm willing to learn. And if you give me some samples, I'll tell you what I find. Take it, because that's kind of what a community is, right? We help one another, even if somebody is still trying to learn. But we do need some people with some good skills, because I know some people can hone the site. There's not anything on the back end, but I didn't write any good security, and I just kind of threw something together for a prototype. The way the architecture is, you could go from your mobile device or whatever, your laptop, go to the website, fill in the form. It will then send your post to Twilio. If you haven't heard of Twilio, they just have a really nice engine for handling text messages with or without multimedia. I'm just using the plain text part of it. And you can just get an account, give them $20, and it's like a penny a text.
Well, cat.
They're really nice. So we're basically talking to their RESTful API. Once the API gets the information it needs, it can send a text message to the phone. If there's nothing there, there's no response back. If there is something there, malware, it sends something back to Twilio. We process that with another PHP file, see what kind of ZitMo or whatever, and then we let you know ZitMo's been found. Do you want to disable? You reply with a yes. We send the command to disable it. You no longer are having your text messages being sent someplace else. So it's kind of basically how it works. It's pretty simple. So one of my friends, when I was running this, kind of the whole concept of ZitMo past him, what he liked the most was the fact that we're using the tools and the tactics that the criminals are using against them. How fun is that? So here's some stuff. We need more NoM. A lot of features. I'm not going to talk through this. I want to get to the demo. But I can tell you the perks, I guarantee you results will be slow. Pay will be non-existent. But me love you long time. At least I got a chuckle out of some of you folks. All right. I talked about some logs before. So we're just doing some communication log analysis. And if you look here, this was the date. It's sent to this phone number. Try to hide it, obfuscate it a little bit. This is the IMEI number. So now that you have that, you can probably try to pull in the tool that we're using for the research. And then this is the activation ID. If you look at this, these bolded numbers, there's about 7 numbers here. So 2658492. Read it backwards, 2658492. So the activation code that we saw in that screenshot early on that said 10003, on a real device, they try to trick you. They want you to think you got, real Android security suite. What's the acronym? ASS. They got us into humor too. They're taking those digits and then just kind of reversing them a bit. And they're making you think it's a real activation code. 0 means don't hide the text. 1 means do. The version of the malware. Who it's from. So this came from AT&T. They're just kind of letting me know about, the free friends of the family map renewed subscription. Blah, blah. So that was in there. So that's the body. So everything from this bold here all the way to this S here. It even keeps track of if it's a last message or not. And then some device information, which you kind of would expect, though. Usually those logs are recorded anyway. But it's just interesting that they're going to get that information too, put it in their database. And then another one was sent later, just to see how it would be different. And the timestamps are different. And then the body in this one just said, time to converge upon Converge Detroit. Tweet about ZitMo NoM. Little plug there for Converge Detroit. But it tries also, if it fails, that's what these last two here, if it fails to get a response back from the command and control saying, yes, I've received this information, here's something for you to do, or okay, it tries again about every 5 seconds or so for a total of 3 attempts, and then it stops. So if you think that you're going to maybe, put up your sniffer, put up Wireshark, start to collect these things, the malware has to get installed, it has to receive the text, and the first text that it receives, it's going to attempt to connect back to the command and control. If it cannot, it's only going to try 2 more times, and you'll never see it do it again. So it's not like other types of malware that are much more persistent trying to call home. This thing tries 3 times, and it quits. Where are we? Oh, this is the thank you slide. So if you want to take a quick look, the tools that we were using was the APK tool, which is just kind of a nice package. We're not done yet. We didn't do the demo. Nice wrapper on Smalley and back Smalley. So instead of using those tools, which is kind of what I started with, this one APK tool will unpack the entire APK. You'll still have your classes.dex. Then you've got to use dex to jar to get nice Java that you can read. It's nice and easy. You can go in there, and it's a lot easier to read than if you look like some of the other screenshots we had earlier were from like Smalley, and it's kind of hard to follow. And then also the other links where we got the data. So all that's there. 1, 2, 3. No one will sue me. On to the demo. Wow, 35 minutes. No matter how I try to make it long and boring as possible, but it's still 35 minutes. The demo is going to be good. Let's see if we can get all this other stuff working here. We got Reflector. Familiar with Reflector? Nice way to emulate your iPhone or some other Apple device using Wi-Fi. But yesterday I was in a meeting, and us nerds, techies get a little bored sometimes. So what we did was I just went and saw how people were broadcasting that they had Reflector, because an option in Reflector is start on login or start up on boot. So this was from the CTF at DerbyCon. It was one of the images that you had to figure out where the secret message was. So Dave was there, sexiest man alive. So imagine the feeling inside of that person when my desktop rendered on their computer with this image. It was pretty fun. And then I decided to put up a Word document that also said, turn off Reflector. So, no one got hurt, but it was just really fun for me. So here's my Android device. I have the malware already stored on the SD card, but one way that it could get on there, and we tried this before, sometimes with the buildings and all the other shit that's here, it doesn't always work very well on the phone. So we created this website called play.google.chickenkiller.com. It's live, you can go there. If we did like Google, like play.google.com.chickenkiller.com, when you look at that on like the mobile browser, it would cut off, and it's kind of harder to tell that you're at some like fake site. So when we go through the code, we started looking at all the other antivirus tools that you could put on your Android. So we changed their ratings, like a really good cyber criminal would. Instead of whatever their real rating is, we gave them 1 star, 1 and like 1/3 of a star, and almost no stars. Somehow this one snuck by. You know, Kaspersky, I have nothing against them, but we gave them 0 stars. They have a big name, so if you gave them a low number, people would shy away. And then we got, same thing with McAfee. But then once you kind of come around, right here, it's not rendering the actual icon. Yeah, it goes. It's this one. So this is the one with the 5 stars. You're like, well, yeah, I'm going to go with 5 stars, and it's free. Why not? Let's just click on that link. When you click on the link, it takes you to another page. It's just, again, a mock-up. Wait for all the scripts to fail because it's trying to connect and not letting it. It'll then eventually come to a page where you can then go and download it. Obviously, I can't download it to my Mac, but just this would be the experience on an Android. We'll just let that spin. Now, go to the Android. This is Droided Screen. It's a Java app. Just run the jar file, tethered. It'll then do the same thing as Reflector, but a little slower. So I've got to maybe like click something and then kind of talk a little bit and kill some time and wait. Anything? So this is the modified version of the Android security suite. So we took it, we reversed it, we changed the alternate controller, we changed that command and control website that it was going to, the URL to report variable, and we packaged it back up, signed it, and now we have something we can deliver. So I just made this like a Dropbox link to pull it down and get it on the device. So you tap it, it's going to give you a warning. There you go, it's settings, which is the appropriate warning. If it just kind of went and installed it, that means I've already turned off controlling the installs from unknown sources. Catch up. See that one right there? Unknown sources is off. For the demo, I have to turn it on. I'm going to get another pop-up. There it is. It's just another warning. This is appropriate. But then after I hit OK, is essentially a list of all the different things that this app wants to do. Clearly in yellow, it's warning you that it's going to access text messages. Why would Android Security Suite, if it was really a security suite, want to access text messages? Ask yourself that. I mean, I'll admit, I'm kind of guilty also if I go to install an app and I just don't read all of these. Because sometimes I'm hoping that app is really going to do what it's supposed to do. But I can handle it and fix the problem if I realize later. And I'm sure some of you can. But most of the people you know, family, friends, others, coworkers, users you support, don't. As you scroll down, I mean, just some of these things, like device access, change network connectivity, connect and disconnect from Wi-Fi, drawer over other apps. I mean, there's just so many things it can do that it should not. And we just down to the bottom, hit install, it's at the very bottom. And it says the app is installed. Okay, hit open. And like I told you before, it doesn't do anything else. It's just going to come up, and it's got my reversed 7 digits of my IMEI, and it's done. But it's ready to boogie now. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to see ZitMo NoM in action and turn it off, or do you actually want to see real text messages being intercepted? If that's the case, I need a volunteer. No, nothing will happen to your phone. You all look a little nervous. All right, so I have the second back. Yeah. So now I'm the bad guy, and I've noticed that the malware was installed. I'm seeing logs or reports show up in my command and control from this particular device. I've realized that they're using an MTAM, and there's some other juicy stuff. And then I said, you know, I'm going to continue with this attack, and then I'm going to figure out how to get maybe some malware on their device so that I can see what it looks like when they go to the bank, figure out what their bank accounts are. And I've done enough profiling that I have a background of when to attack and how. So with this victim phone, I type in /, which is the command that says, set the new alternate controller. And it's going to be this phone. So I know it's being recorded. If you want to call me, please do it at a reasonable hour. So hit send. Now, droid its screen. It's going to be a little slow, but the message went there already. Thanks, Ninja Slum. A little text message. Stop tweeting. You go to messages, and go right there, the command and control phone. So what you see, it'll get there. So what you see on the bottom left on the Android has already happened on the iPhone because the droided screen was a little slow to update. But we sent the command, take control, and the response is what I showed you in one of those screenshots earlier where it says, here's the model number, here's the alternate, the activation code, et cetera, and texts are not hidden. So then I could send anything I like. I love 100,000. Chris Payne in the You guys know who Chris Payne is, right? I hope so. So I send that. Off it goes. Wait for it. Now, it already happened. There it goes. So the message, I love Chris Payne in the ass, was sent, and then that double chevron means a copy has now just already been sent to the iPhone. And the iPhone already got it, obviously, because the screen is released. So you can see there's copies of these messages going back and forth. And if I choose to turn it off, I can then say 8. So you get that, malware is real. This is not something that I wrote. It's something that I modified, and it's out there in the wild. So I'm no longer the alternate controller. I could send a text message. And it shouldn't send a copy. No copy. Very simple. So ZitMo NoM was designed to take advantage of this, like we discussed earlier. It's still spinning. I type in the mobile number. Because I've done this before. Check off that you agree to the terms of service. If you want to read the terms of service, in essence, it's just some legal language to protect me of you coming after me because you got dinged with some SMS charges because you weren't paying attention and you don't have unlimited text and data, and I just, don't have to pay for it. Click the NoM button, and if there is an FAQ also. If you want to know more, like why am I doing this, kind of answering some of those questions, you can click that. You hit the NoM button. By the way, we're almost done. It then says that it's going to be sending a text message soon. Move away from here. I made some changes. They're coming. So right here, the message was sent to the phone that ZitMo has been found, and also a copy of it has been sent. Short story, while kind of putting that together, I didn't know until I created it that it is possible to have an SMS infinite loop. And when you're doing a paper text service, it's kind of like panicky to watch the numbers, the text numbers, just keep going up and up and up. I'm like, why is that happening? oh shit, I got a loop. And then go in there and change the code real quick, and then it'd stop. But it was pretty funny. Now that it's done, let's just type in yes. Oops. I said yes. You're very. The command to disable is this one little exclamation point right here. So that tells ZitMo, die a quiet death. We don't know which app it is. We don't really collect any other data than what ZitMo provides in the logs. But the command to shut it off is better than if you don't want something installed. Now, my advice, if you do go through this, you can test it now. This is live. It's a prototype. But if you want to give it a shot, go for it. But then if you get that exclamation point, reply yes and get it shut off. I think we've covered it all. So I'll go back to the thank you slide. Thank you very much again. We appreciate your time. And I hope this was educational for you. It was pretty fun for me, even though some of the jokes didn't work. So enjoy the rest of GrrCON. I think, who's up next after me? Is it Mike Kemp? Yeah, man. This guy, you got to watch. This is fucking awesome shit. So I'm going to hang out. That's a pretty good endorsement. So thank you very much. Go take a pee break or whatever if you want to talk to me. I can talk to you over there on the side, but stick around for Mike. Thank you.